And welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, swearing. I, of course, am Nick Cameron of Glacial Musical, joined by my good friend and an artist of well-renowned who fits a certain niche of nostalgia, Kitchy Chakas. How we doing today, buddy?
Kitschy chaos like Matt Heafy? I take that as a compliment, sir.
This is a short episode, so we're just going to blow through it. We're doing fine. That's how we're doing. Beer check, vinyl check, news, shirt check, maybe business. Okay, so beer check, the Voodoo Ranger by New Belgium.
We're familiar with it.
Yes, pouring straight down the finger fudge. Also,
Off
have a
to a
new
good start with the
microphone.
finger fudge.
Have a new microphone setup. Hopefully, it sounds better. I
All right.
feel like it could.
I thought you were tuning in using your NPR voice. I was digging it.
Oh, yes. Welcome to the Glacial Musical Podcast. Fuck you.
I have no words. So yeah, Voodoo Ranger, you're well familiar. It's a good beer.
Yes.
Crushable.
Good beer. Hypey. Not crushable, but hoppy and lovely.
Not crushable. All right. I'm drinking a brand new beer for the first time ever, and it is a banned beer because we never did that episode. So now I'm going to start drinking these banned beers more
Yeah,
than
it's
I've
not
already
happening
been.
now.
It might happen someday. This is Alesmith's Sublime Mexican Lager. Let's hope this beer is less mid than that band.
Good luck.
If there was a band that identified like rapey frat boys,
Good luck. Okay.
all over the fucking desk.
Go ahead and give me your vinyl check.
I cannot because my hands are wet with beer. So
balls.
You're gonna have to do it first.
This ruins it then. Okay. My vinyl check is actually prescient as to a news item. Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of this thing.
Rumors?
No, it's not rumors. Self-titled, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
I
mean, that's
yeah. Fleetwood Mac got it for $10, mostly for the family, not for me. Not a big fan personally, but you cannot argue the talent there. And of course, the news item is Chrisine McVie, excuse me, passed away today. So rest in power, Christine. Hell of a career, hell of a singer. So what more can you say?
Not much to say. Very sad. Just very sad. I mean, she had a short illness, 79. It's not young. It's not that old. It's kind of old, but I'll just add this one thing because there's nothing else to add. It's like for all the people that worship Stevie Nicks and she's worshipable, Stevie Nicks got to be Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac because Christine was holding it down.
Correct.
It's not taking away anything from Stevie, but I'm just saying like all the things you love about Stevie Nicks are enabled because other people in the band were laying back so Stevie and Lindsay could take over and come in and do their thing.
Correct.
Maybe worth a run someday. I know you're not a fan. You just said so.
Not a fan. What
this
is your
beer is
check?
delicious, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad because I don't like Mexican lagers too much.
I don't either. They're everywhere here. They're hard to avoid. And Sublime, again, a severely mid band. Drunk karaoke band only. Not something I would sit around and listen. Gonna just quickly pour. Oh, that's way too foamy. But all right, we knew that anyway.
Finger fudge.
Finger fudge the pour. It's all foam. It's like a artificial insemination plant. Here is the vinyl, and also prescient to my news item. I got it last week. I mentioned I had it, but I hadn't opened it. Here is Machine Heads of Kingdom and Crown from 2022. This is ordered in February. This is a limited edition black and red splatter. I will quickly show you it. The packaging is beautiful. Why is it important? Because today, Ghost Cult Magazine, which I own and run, released its albums of the year. And guess what the album of the year was on Ghost Cult Magazine this year, as voted by the staff of Ghost Cult?
The new Tori Amos record.
No, this record, Machine Head.
Okay.
Out of 276 records, friends of mine in private chats are making fun of us. Why didn't we have some other band? Here's the Machine Head. Just
that's a beauty.
Brutally pulled out by my bare hands, fingerprints already over the brand new record. But like, how sick is that? Beautiful. Worth waiting for. Record's been out since.
That is the best black and red splatter I've seen.
The Machine Head does not F around when it comes to merch or vinyl. It took a long time to get this. The entire layout is beautiful. We don't have time to go through it all right now, but it is
correct.
Highly recommend 10 of 10 this record to me.
Of course, the big news of the shirt check. I am rocking my Dungeons and Dragons house sweatshirt. If you look closely, it does say Dungeons and Dragons in Japanese right there for some reason, which is why I was willing to spend $40 on this shirt, which is too much for this shirt. However,
You got a little
it
sniffle
happened.
there, buddy? You feeling okay?
Yeah, I just had a little burpee actually, which is the first time I've been burpy since the finger fudge. Anywho, my news item of the day is, of course, what we all know, we've all heard about, and there will be plenty of glacially musical podcast coverage of this as it goes on. Just going to mention it as a teaser. As we have all heard, Metallica has released a new single. Metallica has announced 72 seasons, their 11th record, and they beat the time difference between Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self-Destruct by just a minute. Instead of it being 8 years, it was only 6. So, as James said when I saw him live, whose idea was it to wait 8 years? Well, you only waited 6 this time, buddy. So you're getting better. Wait 4 for the next one. But and tour dates are announced. There are 2 St. Louis dates, just like there are 2 dates everywhere. There are only 7 American cities getting this tour, and mine is one of them. Fortunately, I'm gonna have to wait till the general sale in January to buy tickets. But Pantera is opening. Five Finger Death Punch is opening. Mammoth is opening. All kinds of people. We'll get more on that as news comes out, of course.
I'm going to add 2 quick things about this, and we're not going to have a second topic tonight in the interest of time. So, 1, you want to go night 1 because night 1 is Pantera and night
Correct.
2. So each city, no repeats. That's the premise of the tour. I'm so stoked about. I want to talk about the album. I want to talk about the song next week. But the tour is the thing because Pantera had no American dates yet, except North America, Mexico, but not America, USA. So night 1 is Pantera and other bands, Mammoth. Night 2 is Five Finger Death Punch. A lot of people want to go night 1 and don't want to go night 2. I will say that Five Finger Death Punch sells a lot of tickets, will bring in their own fans. It's a very good matchup for both bands. Here's the thing that's interesting. A lot of people are hateful about this tour. Like, why doesn't Metallica ever take out an underground band? Because it's Live Nation, it's Ticketmaster, and it has to sell tickets. The other little quick bit of news about this tour is they announced add-ons and special ticket platforms, including a platform you can be on stage for $7,000 for you and your group of 7 other friends. There is the I Disappear ticket is back. You can get one for 1 year, $1,000 every Metallica show in the world, one premium ticket, $1,000 every show on the tour. 2,300, I think, for the 2 years. Because again, it's 2 years of tours. So I think we are seeing maybe not the end game of Metallica, but they have just mapped out for their own convenience the next 2 years of their life. And they're not going to do, I don't think they're going to do, it leaves space to do other things, but I really doubt it. They're doing next year is going to be the heavy year. The 14 shows and all the European festivals and maybe a special appearance here and there if they come back to the States.
This is not, and it's not, neither year of this tour is grueling. This is not a classic Metallica tour. This is a Metallica Rolling Stone style tour. And that's why they can play 2 nights in St. Louis, because there's no Chicago date, there's no Minnesota date.
They're going to pull in people from everywhere. I'm going to try to go at least to one. Here's just the last thing. I'm going to leave you with this, and we're going to answer it in the ether later. When the F did they make this record? Because how and when did they make this? Because they were saying, we got a long way to go. It's not right, which is, smoke and mirrors. I get it. But I'm just baffled that they made a whole record, artwork, song titles, everything, video ready to go. They shot it 3 weeks ago, edited, boom. I am the proponent of saying that surprise releases don't work for rock and metal bands. And I was on a recent podcast on the Ghost Call Magazine podcast where we were running down albums of the year. And I talked to my colleague, Vicki Anderson, who's a huge Met Club, Met family lifer. And we were like, will we get a new Metallica record in 2023? And she was like, nope, at least not until 24. So we were wrong.
Well, this is not a surprise release.
Sure it is.
It's still 5 months till it drops.
But no warning.
They didn't
even the fan club was not given a warning. Like they just dropped a single in a video with like maybe a few hours to
go. No standard.
That to me is a surprise drop. Not the whole record.
Fair.
Like
fair
a rapper
enough.
drops a whole record.
Okay. I misunderstood.
But like, yeah, we're gonna get a video for every song. It's not gonna be much different than Hardwired. But we'll talk about more next week. I love the song.
I'm digging it. Listen to it a couple more times. I like it more each time. And meat of the day is Slipknot, the fourth one,
the final
something I forget.
Yeah, All Hope Is Gone.
That's the one.
We're gonna bang through this, I swear to you, in less than 30 minutes. We're gonna cover the whole album. We're gonna cover the next 14 years of Slipknot history in about 2 minutes at the end. We're each gonna sum it up. We're gonna give we're gonna give a score for each album we didn't do, because we keep forgetting this every final episode of a series. I will not let us forget tonight.
Well, let us not do a standard track by track this evening.
No, I think we can bang through it because there's a lot of singles and hits, and I'll carry us.
Okay,
don't worry.
All right.
I got you, bro.
Well, here's what I'm going to say before we lead up into this album. What I find interesting about this one is this is the first Slipknot album where all 9 members were involved in the writing of the Slipknot album. And most of the Slipknot members look back on this one as their least favorite.
Until now. Until now. The fans also seem to really not like this record. It has 5 hits, legitimate Billboard hit singles. I'm going to talk about the immediate aftermath of this, their 4th record in a row, 4th record in 9 years, 9 for 9 guys. This is the final record with all the original members, Joey and Paul. Paul passes on 2 years later. Joey is kicked out of the band 5 years later and then passes away just recently. So rough. But 1 year ago, year and a half ago. Just like, wow. So where we left off really quickly to sum up the story so far, Slipknot is blowing up. They're touring all over the world. They're playing major European festivals. They're just barnstorming. They are at this point, let's say 2006, 2005, 2006, the band is on par with the biggest rock and metal bands in the world. Iron Maiden, Metallica, Ozzy Solo. Black Sabbath had yet to reunite, I think, at this point.
Not for an album.
Bigger than immediately leapfrog the whole big 4 except Metallica. Straight out, even though they had, just like
right.
Huge. And every time the band farts, releases a new mask, a new photo of them all, new jumpsuits for the tour, just the internet goes gaga. This is the saturation point of Blabbermouth, Metal Sucks, Metal Injection,
Hard Radio,
iHeartRadio.
No, Hard Radio.
Oh, Hard Radio. I don't know what that is. No idea.
That was my metal news source for a long time back in the early aughts.
I did not know this. And this is the rise of what we know today as, for better or worse, social media and internet journalism for metal. And just Slipknot selling millions of records, shipping platinum, the last record into, just banana balls. So they reconvened, and there was some acrimony making Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses. And so they still toured. Not as much, but they still toured huge arenas. Like I said, headlining arenas on the strength of their 3rd record right out of the gate. That's bigger. That's a bigger trajectory than any band ever. Foo Fighters, not Nirvana, not Pearl Jam. Just understand how big that is. That's why I say, when I say that's, there's a rap song, when I move, you move, right? Just like that. When Slipknot moves, the whole genre moves. And I know that people don't love them, but they're too rappy.
To give it a little bit of perspective, you had mentioned Nirvana. Nirvana never played arenas
in Europe, the last tour, and he hated it. Kirk hated it.
Think about how big Nirvana was in America, and they never toured arenas here.
Yeah, no. And he was against that, and he didn't want, he didn't even like doing Lollapalooza. He was so mad. They turned down Ozfest. Ridiculous. So yeah, man, they go in the studio to make the 4th record, and they really took a lot of time with this one. Not only did they all write, they all brought in demos. So every member of the band demoed material for this album. And actually, Clown and some of the other guys made so much extra material. There's a secret unreleased whole album from this era that's supposed to be what Clown called their Pink Floyd before Dark Side of the Moon records, like psychedelic soundscapes and weird horror nightmare sounding stuff. And it's never been put out except for one song and one outtake. So someday we will get that record, or maybe never. I don't know. From time to time, Clown,
we still don't have household objects.
They don't have I know. So they go in the studio, and part of the reason they don't like this record, and then we're going to tee it up real quick, part of the reason they don't like this record is they chose wrong on the producer. And I'm not saying they chose a bad producer, because I really like this guy. He's been a stud for everybody else. They worked with Dave Fortman, best known as the guitar player and co-founder of Ugly Kid Joe, but also super producer, Down and a bunch of heavy metal bands, Disturbed. He's worked with a lot of huge million-selling bands.
Fair enough.
But they did not like working with him. On top of that, they didn't leave themselves. They did so much pre-production. They didn't quite leave them. They did the Metallica and Justice for All, not the bass thing, but they didn't leave themselves enough time to properly a comfort level to record the album. And they had made the last couple of records, all their records in California, but the last two specifically in LA. Malibu is not LA, by the way, for Indigo Ranch in the first record, but they went into LA for a lot of the last record, and a lot of the bands get distracted, partying. Again, members have problems with substances and problems. So they did this whole record in Iowa for the first time ever at home. Corey has a newborn son at this time, Griffin Taylor, now a grown-up from the band Vended, who has his band with the son of Sean Clown Crahan. And so, Corey working all day and then going home for dinner with the family. That was really nice, his ex-wife and his child. And other members of the band liked the comforts of being near family and having time, a day off here or there to do family stuff. It's important. Clown has a large family. He has a daughter that's passed away a few years back, but he had a very large family, 4 or 5 kids, I think. So, and I think his wife has medical problems, I mentioned. So they go in the studio with Dave Fortman. They don't particularly like him. Some of them were having troubles, but they still, they worked in teams. They said they were efficient. They knew they were under a deadline. Some stuff felt rushed to them, but generally speaking, they liked what they put out. At the time, they felt positive about the record. Looking back, they don't like it so much.
Well, everybody feels positive about the record during the cycle. I mean,
right. So similar to the last record, all songs by the 9 of them, with a few exceptions.
But with this time, it actually was, though.
It really feels like a complete record, and we'll talk about that in a second. Again, what they set out to make was an experimental record. And the fans, even to this day, are very divided about this one.
This is not experimental. It's more mature.
I agree. It was experimental for them, and I'll talk about why and how. But I feel like it's a much more straightforward, we'll talk about it in a second. I think it's a much more straightforward record than all their previous records.
Agreed. Completely agreed. And that's why I liked it.
So one of Nick's favorite things in the world, every time this
comes up, got me. They got
you. Execute, which is sort of a song, sort of not a song to open the album. Sort of a song.
It's not even an overture. It's just
no need for this.
No, there's not.
Make it part of the next song, which then would be a 7.5, 8-minute song, but make it part of the next song. First proper track of the album is Gematria, The Killing Name, typical Slipknot opener, banger, brutal, great verbose lyrics, everybody firing in all cylinders, jamming out.
And a little political. And a little
first time ever
that considering this comes out in what is this 08? Am I remembering that right? It's a little bit of anti-Bushy based on all the nation building we had been doing for the past 7 or 8 years.
Right. Well, imagine Volume 3 comes out in the wake of 9/11 and it's a very post 9/11 American album, if you will. Right. And this record is a very big reaction to the second term of Bush too. W. And Corey has not been very he's generalized about the class warfare, and he's generalized about the us versus them and the haves and have-nots, but never to this level on multiple songs.
Correct.
Yeah, love it. Good track to start with. Good track. Then they start a string of singles. Some of the biggest songs of the band's whole career are the next few songs on this album. Hard to believe. Sulfur, super catchy rock song. It's about 4.5 minutes long, and it was basically mostly co-written, almost all, pretty co-written by Jordison and Jim. And again, like I said, Jim started to assert himself on the last record. On the second record, he's taking over. You're getting any of the songs that are like straight up heavy rock is Jim Root, most likely. And anything with like a complex, dirgy, crazy, catastrophic guitar riff, it's almost always Mick or Paul writing those riffs.
It's like Spinal Tap, man. They were lucky. They had two visionaries.
I think this band has 3 or 4 visionaries, 3 or 4 of the best people ever. If this was sports, we would say like, who's the best ex quarterback ever? And they have 2 quarterbacks, an incredible, wide receiver, and 2 Hall of Fame linemen. So Sulfur, any thoughts on the track?
No, I listened to this twice today. I have a lot more general feelings about the entire thing. It was a YouTube stream again. I'll remember bits and bobs, quite honestly.
No problem. I have this record back east in my storage of vinyl. So I have it. I don't have it here. Wish I did. Listen to it also on YouTube Music. Very fine, very fond of YouTube Music. The fourth track on the record, and maybe my second or third favorite Slipknot song ever, is Psychosocial.
Loved this one. This was a good one.
Incredible chorus. Maybe the best chorus this guy has ever done in anything he's ever done. It is so good. That melodic, beautiful thing couched against these like brutal screamed rants.
And that was one of the times where that worked for me. And that juxtaposition rarely works for me. It never sounds natural. And in this song and in this album in general, it sounded natural.
Very fair. Also, I'm going to say the breakdown at the end of this song is banging. And like I said, I alluded to this in the warm-up to this part. I feel like this record is more akin to what Lamb of God was doing, and Unearth, and Killswitch Engage is more heavy stuff.
This reminds me a lot of Killswitch Engage and a lot of Avenged Sevenfold of a couple years previous. And I don't mean that like derivatively or anything like that, but the kind of peaks and valleys and dynamics, which they each album goes into more and more of that, which is why I've liked each album progressively more.
And I think you mean pre Guns N' Roses and Metallica imitation Avenged Sevenfold, metalcore Avenged Sevenfold, not the backcountry. Yeah, which I love. Right. Love that stuff. No knock on them. Then another banging hit single, mostly only written by Corey Taylor, Dead Memories, which is like a very, for Slipknot, this is kind of like, it's not a ballad, but it's softer, right? It's sung almost all the way through with a few exceptions. And it's got some interesting melodic stuff and interesting chord, key and chord changes, but it's pretty much like a rock song. It's not that
Corey is the MVP on this record for me, and it's songs like this that make it that way.
Totally fair. The next track, we're flying through these with lightning speed. I did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, which is not a measure of space and time, but anyway, not distance, space. Vendetta, back to the heavy, and the second half of this record is almost all just heavy as fuck. Vendetta's pretty harsh track, very straight up and down.
Agreed. And this is where it gets to the point of the record where my memory gets foggier and foggier, which is messed up.
That's no problem. This record, I will say, sticks. We've discussed the recurring theme of the Slipknot records kind of tailing off. This one is this one's very akin to the second record, where it definitely tails off a lot.
And it's very akin to the first record, where it's very front loaded. The first half of this record is just amazing. And then the second half of the record, it for all intents and purposes, for me, it could be one song.
There are two other big tracks at the end of the album that kind of bookend it a little stronger ending, but this is the soft underbelly, to quote Nicholas J. Cameron. And I don't know what your middle name is. Is it Aloysius?
No, it's Edwin.
Okay. I knew it was some kind of fancy Game of Thrones name. Edard Cameron. Butcher's Hook is next, and Butcher's Hook kind of reminds me of the first album of Slipknot, with like a lot of grooves and a lot of it's not new metal, but it's like very power groove, Pantera, Lamb of God.
It's Sepultura percussion metal.
Hmm.
That's what a lot of this reminds me of, is that Sepultura Brazilian Kaiawas, but electric all the time. But
fair enough. Next two tracks are two of my least favorite tracks in general by the
I
band.
do remember Gehenna, and that was a long.
Yeah,
that was
Gehenna's good, long. But it's too long. A few verses too long. It's a little too long, but good tracks, not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Nothing on this album is bad.
Yeah, this Cold Black, solid. I can't recall it being great. It's about the right amount of time. Good riffs. Wherein Lies Continue, trying to get fancy with the song title. Wherein, really? It's not a legalese, bro. Another one that's like twice as long as it needs to be. I'm sure this is somebody's favorite song. No, this is Wherein Lies Continue.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 538. Yeah, 538 is longer than I require from Slipknot, just in general.
Yeah, unless it's an exceptional song.
Right, correct. And this is not it.
And then
the exceptional song is never track 9.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then this is really interesting. So I know it was controversial. This is a beloved song. This is Snuff, which is even softer than the second version of Vermilion. Like, this is milk toast.
I like it when they do that, though.
They do it so well.
Correct.
They get really small as a band, right? Really, 9 guys become like a very tiny, tiny thing.
Little danger mice in Penfold.
Okay. And I'm gonna say, like, people were like not happy that they went back to that well. Like, maybe they thought that Vermilion and Vermilion 2 were gonna just be the one-time thing and not keep, Dead Memories is a very tuneful, beautiful song. And here we go again with a very beautiful, only written by Corey, tuneful song.
No, you gotta, when it works once, it'll work twice.
Fair enough. And then for the closing track of the album, the title track, All Hope Is Gone, which is a banger and was a hit single and had a video that got played and it was in their set list for years and still pops up. They love this track. And it's almost 5 minutes long, but it doesn't feel almost 5 minutes long.
It's better when a band loves the track naturally, but it is what it is. For the record, I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed it. I would put it probably number 3 out of 4 for me. My ranking would go Volume 2, All Hope Is Gone. Not Volume 2, Iowa, All Hope Is Gone. Volume 3, Debut.
Really? I like Debut last.
The Debut has such a delightful quirkiness to it, where it doesn't sound like anything else. For a very long time when I got into Metallica, Kill 'Em All was my favorite, even though Kill 'Em All was, frankly, their worst record. But it's got a delightful charm to it because it was the nouveau music. And that's what their Debut is to me. It's that breakthrough that this is who we are. And then as each week goes by, they find out more and more who they really are.
Fair enough. I'm going to make an observation here. If you took out the DJ scratching and samples, there's almost no rapping on this, and this is their least new metal adjacent record. And like I said, it's much less death metal than Iowa. It's got more rock than Volume 3, and there's only a couple of raps. And if you took out the scratchy and the wiki and the do sound effects and things, this is their least new metal record. People did not like it. Their fans don't like this record, and it's still got 7, 8 great songs, or at least 6 great songs and 2 very good ones.
Agreed. And it's an album that it's a departure project. It is very different than everything before. It's got a little bit of everything before it. It's enough to have a brand, but it's far enough away to be a very, very new direction. There was a couple of songs that were, like we talked about last week, they were rock songs with metal guitars, where Corey is, doing like that. And I don't take this seriously or yell at me in the comments, whichever, that Nickelback kind of delivery where it's a little gritty, but still melodic. And it's too gritty to be, classic, and it's too melodic to be metal. So that kind of soft space there. And then there's a lot of it where there is serious riffs and huge, as Duncan puts it, twiddle solos and blast beats, and then the crazy conga drums, like Andy Kaufman is a member of a metal band, finally living his other dream, not being an entertainer, not being a wrestler, but being in a metal band, playing the congas, because like he did with Frankie Boom Boom Cannon. Sorry, I watched a special on Andy Kaufman in Memphis last night, so on the brain.
Doing the Andy Kaufman, here I come to save the day. It's really interesting. Just for one more second, and then I'm going to move forward, and we're going to time warp the rest of Slipknot's career in like literally 2 minutes and 10 seconds. But like just for one more second on this album, because I think it's really interesting. They shipped 1 million. Maybe they had 3 singles out before the record dropped. They shipped 1 million copies, platinum out of the gate, right? They got it good. And the fans were mixed on this. The hits are undeniable, especially Psychosocial, Dead Memories, Sulfur. These are catchy. The Sulfur video is really cool. If you get the chance to go back and watch it, we really should watch the videos along with some of these things together.
Agreed.
Maybe even. Or maybe we'll do like a reaction show where we watch some of these. So we'll pick out like one thing from each series and do a video. That would be fun. But yeah, man, it was dividing the fans. The most divisive Slipknot record until now. And we'll get to that in a second. Until this year. The most divisive Slipknot is still a record people don't like. And people go back to this as a failure, and I don't think it's a failure. I think this is when the band worked the best beside the debut, which again was really.
It's not a failure. It's something different. But I mean, one of the things I think we've learned about metal fans over the years is any 2 standard deviations from the norm, and metal fans got the torches and pitchforks. Look at Metallica's Fade to Black. Look at Slayer's Rain and Blood or Diabolus and Musica. There's so many things where a metal band tried to, just to go down a slightly different road. It might have just been the alley behind the road, and they couldn't book the tour. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. So really quick, I had to pull my phone out for this, my old phone, because my new phone is charging. This is mind-blowing. So this album comes out at the end of the summer. And they start June on tour as the headline band of the debut ever Mayhem Fest. And this Mayhem Fest lineup is bananas, at least for the time. And I just want to quickly discuss the Mayhem Fest lineup really quick. Because so Slipknot headlines arenas, ships 1 million copies of their 4th record, goes on tour before the record comes out, headlining Mayhem Fest. This is the first Mayhem Festival, brought to you by the guys who brought you Warped Tour in the 90s. Kevin Lyman and John Reese. Slipknot, Disturbed, Dragon Force, it's 2008. Mastodon, right on the heels of Crack the Sky, or just before Crack the Sky. Under Oath, Machine Head. Under Oath was supposed to be Seven Dust, and they dropped out, and Under Oath took their spot. Walls of Jericho, miss those folks. The Red Chord, Suicide Silence, Five Finger Death Punch next to the bottom, 36 Crazy Fists, and Airborne from Australia, who I just interviewed this summer.
Wow. Also, real quick, Airborne is one of friend of the show, Danny's favorite bands, Danny Nichols of Torchlight Parade and 3/4 Francis, Beck Mork, and whatever else. I wanted to give him a shout out, and I have forgotten. When he was over here last week, he gave me the new Torchlight Parade CD, 3/4 Francis CD, and the new Beck Mork CD. I have only listened to the Torchlight Parade CD so far, and it's very good. So definitely check it out.
Awesome. Shout out to Danny. We should have him back on sometime in 2023. We have 2 minutes and change left of the show, and I'm going to give you the next 14 years of Slipknot history in less than that time, and you will take us home right after I'm done. I'll let you have some more thoughts. I doubt you do. I would like I didn't give my tiers. I'll do it real quick. Debut album, all-time classic in the genre. Iowa, Volume 3. All hope is gone. So I know I'm a basic bitch, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for me. I might have days where Volume 3 is a little bit ahead of 2, but that's because I was, new to the game.
Fair.
But the debut for me is un-F-withable. So, headline Mayhem Fest. sell 1 million records out of the gate. Now they're going over to tour Europe, and in the next couple of years, they're headlining all the major European festivals. 2009, 2010. 2010, Paul dies. Tragic. Overdose in a hotel room. Very sad. Co-founder of the band. Right back to the beginning.
I remember reading an interview with Mick, number 7, when they were coming back, and it was weird.
They still go on. I mean, they went on tour with like his costume and mask on a scarecrow on the stage.
Yeah,
I mean, Odorous. They did that with Odorous and Gore. But it's just like
weird.
So weird. And then they had Donnie Steele come back, who was one of the early members of the band, to play bass kind of off stage, and then eventually they let him come on stage a little bit, but he didn't really mask up that much. They make a new record. It's all over the place. Just grief-stricken, very good. They put out 3 more records since then. 2 in a row these last 3 years with the pandemic. The new record is The End So Far. The band, this is why the band is the biggest band in the world, and this is where I want to finish. And if you have any thoughts on this, you can bring them, and then we'll wrap it up. But the reason Slipknot is the biggest band in the world, they almost surpassed Metallica. By the way, Metallica's 2 festivals, which I loved, were failures financially. Knotfest continues to never suck. The only time they've canceled anything, they've had 2 problems ever with the Knotfests. Knotfests are awesome. If you've ever gone, you should go, if they ever have one near you again. They had the one in Mexico City where their fans rushed the stage and broke the stage physically, and then they canceled the rest of the show. That was really scary. That was really scary. They set Evanescence's gear on fire. Evanescence was supposed to go on right before Slipknot. Set their whole stage gear on fire. Oops. And then the cruise got canceled. They were having their first Knotfest at sea, and it was kibosh because of the pandemic. And then logistically, when will they ever have another one? They're not sure. Just because they didn't get to do the first one, now it's a whole to try to book a new one. But they have, I don't know, a dozen Knotfests all over the world. They've collaborated with Hellfest. They've collaborated with Download, just made Knotfest part of those festivals. Lego blocked them on. They are going to have 3 new ones in South America in the next couple of weeks. Chile, Colombia, and Argentina. Holy cow. They have Knotfest Germany. They have Knotfest France. They're doing Knotfest in India. It's wild. They've surpassed Metallica on some levels, not all of them. They put out their new album this year, The End So Far, their final record under their original contract with Roadrunner, and it is wildly divisive. And we don't have time to talk about it all, but they opened with a piano ballad that sounds like Elton John. Most of the record is super heavy, but also experimental and some weird stuff going on. But it's got a lot of bangers, just like this one, very divisive. People did not have a thing to compare this album to until now. And so now all the Redditors and people are like, this album, so The End So Far, is worse than All Hope Is Gone, which is amusing as hell to me because neither of these albums are bad. I love the Slipknot album. I had done an online video review on YouTube, and I love the record personally. I think okay, the sequencing is not, it's weird to have a piano ballad open a Slipknot record. It's very strange.
Any record that's not a piano, unless it's Tori Amos, Elton John, or Billy Joel.
Yeah, it's just not. Ben Folds, Dresden Dolls, Amanda Palmer. List is short. So
list is short.
Yeah, so this is we come to a close on this whole series. This is why I said Slipknot moves the needle forward for everyone. The Knotfest Roadshow Tour, Knot Festivals, Knotfests, Knotfest.com, their metal culture and music portal that rivals literally eclipsed Blabbermouth and Metal Sucks and Metal Injection, as well as dwarfed my channel. And honestly, it's a perfect delivery system for merch. They print their own merch. They probably print their own vinyl, even though they printed theirs with a mistake this time around because they changed the name too late. You got to stand back and mark. Metallica doesn't have those things. Metallica doesn't have a website that everybody goes to every day. Metallica does not have huge festivals all over the world. They headline someone else's festival. So just saying, I'm not saying they're big. They are, as Nick yawns in my face.
It's like one of my famous hockey analogies. It's like Sidney Crosby or Alexander Ovechkin versus Wayne Gretzky. Alexander Ovechkin just broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time record for most goals away. It's a career record. He's also going to break Wayne Gretzky's goals record, but he's not going to break the points, and he's never going to be half the player Wayne Gretzky was. But in some ways, he will surpass.
It's a whole different game. But I'm saying
Correct.
like we don't even have another Slipknot on the horizon, and so like
No,
I'm like
no.
Slipknot is huge. They I don't think they're going anywhere by any stretch. It's up to other people to decide. A lot of the fan theories are that they tanked this new album to stick it to Roadrunner. Again, I think I've heard that bands do that, but I think that's a dumb idea. Any other final thoughts on Slipknot? I'm glad we did this series. I know it wasn't your jam, but mostly, but they were not unenjoyable like
I
some of the
could
other series we did. But it's not your jam. I get it.
I could see Slipknot, doing a contractual obligation album and giving it all that kind of effort. But I don't know. I don't think anybody would. I don't think somebody would tank it. But what do I know? Anyway, as for Slipknot in general, I went into this band actively disliking them and actively being anxious about having to go through 4 weeks of Slipknot. And you requested that I listen to these albums at least twice each, which I have done. I apologize that I have not been as verbose as I could have been in the past, but I'm doing everything. I tried to give everything, but I gave it everything I could. But what I did come out of this with is a love of Slipknot, and I am definitely going to buy that first album on vinyl. And that is something I never thought I would be able to say. I never thought I would ever say I enjoyed anything fucking Slipknot has ever done. And they are an interesting band. They are far more than I ever gave them credit for. And I'm glad we did this series, and I'm glad we pushed through it. And that is my thoughts on Slipknot.
I have already given my final thoughts on the band. Thank you for humoring me and doing this series. Do we want to do any admin and announce the next series, or we just
Yes,
wait? We do. We have a chaser next week ready to go.
Right, we're gonna drop the chaser, and then we are gonna take it easy on ourselves because it's the holiday month. I have my wedding anniversary, my birthday, Christmas, and New Year's Eve next month. So it's a big month for me. So
we may take some time off, is what you're saying.
No, I'm not taking any time off, but I cannot give you I don't have the research time. So we are finally doing Kiss. Not only are we doing Kiss, but we're doing that 70s run. So get ready if you're watching this. We will put black bars over our hindquarters for when we do this. But it's something we both know very, very well, so we won't have to spend hours and hours researching.
And we're starting this in December after the
Correct.
chaser, and we're going to carry it into the new year, and then we're going to start with another chaser and whatever the next series is.
Well, I want to finish it in. I want to finish it in December.
And you want to just bang through Kiss, like?
Well, I mean, their albums are 30. Their albums are 30 minutes long. I mean,
it shouldn't be hard. Yeah, I get it. All right, no problem.
It may only be 3 episodes to go all the way to 1980.
You script it out, pal, and
I will do that, and that is everything. And I'm hoping we will have a special New Year's Eve show and a New Year's Eve guest. We'll see how that goes. That's just my.
All right then. Let me know.
That's all I got.
Take us home, Daddy. It's your turn.
All right, everybody. Thank you for checking it out with us. If you are listening, if you are there, tell us what you think in the comments. Whack a like. One of the things about a comment and a like, it is the easiest thing you can do to help us out, and that will give the algorithm a kick in the junk to let them know you're there. You put your elbow in your ribs. Let them know you're there. Put your stick in his teeth. Let them know you're there. So that is everything this week. It is the Glacier Musical Podcast. It does not play in Peoria.